Hey there, growth seekers. Welcome back to another inspiring episode of the Growing Forward podcast, where we talk all about personal growth, fulfillment, and unlocking your true potential. I'm your host, Jonathan.
And I'm Janelle. We're so excited to have you with us today. This podcast is all about helping you take those small but meaningful steps toward becoming the best version of yourself.
If this episode resonates with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube.
Ready for a deep dive into emotional intelligence? You sent some pretty interesting articles over EI and how it relates to your work. Seems like it's more than just a buzzword these days, wouldn't you say?
It really is, and it's striking how these articles kind of go beyond the basics, They really delve into the nuances of how emotional intelligence can make or break success in the workplace.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. One article I was looking at mentioned that companies are actually using EQ tests in hiring now. That's a pretty huge shift from just focusing on traditional IQ, don't you think?
It is. It really seems like employers are finally recognizing that technical skills can only take you so far right.
Right.
Like how you handle yourself and others in the workplace is becoming just as crucial.
Exactly. It's like you could be a genius programmer or something, but if you can't collaborate effectively with your team or handle a stressful deadline.
Exactly. That's where emotional intelligence, or EQ, really comes into play. This one article from Intuitive Surgical had a fascinating anecdote about a project manager who used their self-awareness to navigate a team conflict.
Okay.
They realized their own frustration was clouding their judgment, so they took a step back, reassessed the situation, and came up with a solution that addressed everyone's concerns.
Wow, that's a perfect example of emotional intelligence in action. But I'm curious, wouldn't the ideal scenario be someone who has both high IQ and D, high EQ?
Absolutely. I think what we're seeing is a shift in priorities, not a complete dismissal of IQ.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right balance, right?
Right.
Someone with a high IQ might be able to solve complex problems, but without the emotional intelligence to communicate those solutions electively
Yeah.
or to work collaboratively, their brilliance might go unnoticed. The exciting thing is, unlike IQ, which is relatively fixed, you can actually develop your emotional intelligence over time.
Hold on, are you saying we can actually get better at understanding and managing our emotions and those of others?
Yes.
That's encouraging.
It is, and it's not about changing your personality or anything, but rather honing specific skills.
Gotcha.
Remember those 5 key components of EI: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Each of these can be strengthened through practice and conscious effort.
Okay, so let's dive into those 5 components a little bit. I think most of us have at least heard those terms before, but how do they actually translate into real-world workplace success? What does this actually look like at action?
Let's take self-awareness, for example. It's not just about knowing your strengths and weaknesses, right?
Right.
It's about understanding how your emotions impact your behavior and how that, in turn, affects others.
So it's like having this internal radar that's constantly scanning your emotional state and how it's influencing your interactions.
Yes. And one of the articles mentioned a manager who used self-awareness to completely change their approach to giving feedback.
Okay.
These to be very blunt, which often demotivated their team. But by becoming more aware of how their communication style was impacting others,
Yeah.
they were able to adjust their approach and deliver feedback in a way that was both constructive and encouraging.
Wow, that's a great example of how self-awareness can directly impact team dynamics. If like having the ability to step outside of yourself and see things from a different perspective.
Exactly. And then there's self-regulation. It's all about managing those emotional responses in a healthy and productive way.
So instead of blowing up at someone when they make a mistake, you can take a deep breath and choose a more thoughtful response.
It's about creating that space between feeling an emotion and reacting to it.
Okay.
One of the articles, I believe it was from Harvard Business Review, suggested practicing mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or meditation to help strengthen this pause button.
I can see how that would be incredibly valuable, especially in a high-pressure work environment. It's like giving yourself the tools to stay grounded and focused, even when things get chaotic.
And that leads us to motivation.
Okay.
Think about it. What truly drives you?
Yeah.
Is it external rewards like a promotion or a bonus? Or is it something deeper?
I guess for some people, it might be a combination of both.
Right.
But I can see how intrinsic motivation, that passion for the work itself, would be a more sustainable source of energy in the long run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the articles you shared highlighted a study that found intrinsically motivated employees are not only more productive,
Uh-huh.
but they're also more resilient in the face of setbacks.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
If you genuinely enjoy what you're doing, challenges become opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to dread.
absolutely. And this ties into another crucial component of emotional intelligence, empathy. It isn't just about feeling sorry for someone, it's about understanding their perspective,
Yeah.
their motivations, and their emotional landscape.
Okay.
It's like stepping into their shoes and seeing the world through their eyes.
So, how did that actually play out in the workplace?
Yeah.
One of the articles mentioned that empathetic individuals are better at understanding others' perspectives, but what does that look like in practice?
One of your sources actually had a really compelling example. It described a team leader who used their empathy to completely turn around a struggling project.
Really?
They took the time to really listen to their team members, understand their concerns, and adjust their leadership styles to better support them.
So, it wasn't about barking orders or micromanaging. It's about creating a space where everyone felt heard and valued.
And that's the power of empathy.
Yeah.
Increased connection, fosters trust, and ultimately leads to a more positive and productive work environment.
This is all so fascinating. It's like we're starting to piece together this puzzle of emotional intelligence and how it impacts not only individual success, but also team dynamics and overall workplace culture.
It really is a puzzle, and the last piece, social skills, is what brings it all together.
Okay, let's talk about social skills.
Okay.
I think most people assume this just means being outgoing or charismatic or something.
Right.
But is there more to it than that?
There definitely is.
Yeah.
It's about being able to communicate effectively and navigate social situations with grace and ease.
Okay.
Think about it. All those other components we've discussed,
Mm-hmm.
self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, they all feed into your ability to connect with others and build strong, healthy relationships.
So it's like having all the ingredients for a delicious cake, but social skills are the oven that bakes it all together.
That's a great analogy. And one of the articles had some interesting tips like practicing active listening,
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to nonverbal cues,
Okay.
and even seeking out opportunities to interact with people from diverse backgrounds.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
The more you expose yourself to different perspectives and communication styles, the more adaptable and effective you become in social situations.
precisely. And that adaptability is a key ingredient for success in today's increasingly interconnected and diverse world.
So we've covered what emotional intelligence is and its 5 key components.
Right.
But what about the actual benefits of having high EI in the workplace? Are there any tangible outcomes?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to dive into those benefits next. You know, one of those compelling benefits highlighted in your sources is the link between emotional intelligence and enhanced teamwork.
Makes sense, right? I mean, if people feel understood and respected, they're probably going to work together better.
Exactly. These strong interpersonal relationships that are fostered by EI lead to better communication, which is another huge plus. One article, I think it was from Forbes, cited a study showing that teams with high EI were more effective at problem solving and decision making. They were able to leverage diverse perspectives and navigate disagreements constructively, which led to more innovative and sustainable solutions.
So it's not just about avoiding conflict.
Right.
It's about using emotional intelligence to actually turn conflict into a productive force.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about transforming those potentially destructive clashes into opportunities for growth and innovation.
Gotcha.
Another benefit that really stood out to me from your sources is the impact of EI on resilience.
Oh, yeah, resilience. Everyone's talking about it.
And for good reason. The world of work is constantly changing,
Yeah,
demanding adaptability and the ability to bounce back from setbacks.
right.
One of the articles you shared discussed how individuals with high EI are better equipped to handle stress and navigate challenges without getting overwhelmed or burnt out.
Makes sense if you're able to regulate your emotions and maintain a positive outlook. You're probably less likely to crumble under pressure.
Exactly. And that ability to stay grounded amidst chaos not only benefits the individual, it also has a positive ripple effect on the entire team.
Right?
It's like having a stabilizing force that helps everyone stay focused and productive even when things get tough.
So, emotionally intelligent individuals are basically like workplace superheroes, helping everyone navigate the storms and come out stronger on the other side.
And speaking of superheroes, let's talk about leadership.
Okay.
Several of the articles you selected focused on the critical role of EI in effective leadership.
Yeah, it seems like every leadership book or seminar I come across these days emphasizes emotional intelligence.
Right.
Why is that such a crucial ingredient for leadership success?
Well, think about the qualities we associate with great leaders: inspiring others, motivating teams, building trust, resolving conflict, fostering collaboration,
All of those require a deep understanding of human emotions.
both your own and those of the people you're leading.
Exactly. One of the articles highlighted a fascinating study that analyzed the leadership styles of successful CEOs.
Okay.
What they found was that the most effective leaders weren't necessarily the most charismatic or the loudest voices in the room. They were the ones who excelled at connecting with the teams on an emotional level,
Yeah,
creating a sense of shared purpose and fostering a culture of trust and respect.
that's interesting. It challenges the traditional notion of a leader as a commanding figure who barks orders and demands obedience.
It does. It suggests that the most effective leadership style is one that's grounded in empathy, self awareness, and the ability to build strong relationships. It's about empowering others, not just wielding power.
So it's not just about what you achieve, it's about how you achieve and the impact you have on the people around you.
And that's where emotional intelligence truly shines.
Okay.
It's about leading with heart, not just head. So we've established that emotional intelligence is crucial for leadership, teamwork, resilience, and overall workplace success.
Yeah.
But this isn't just a corporate phenomenon, is it?
Right.
I remember one of the articles mentioned that schools are starting to incorporate social emotional learning into their curriculums.
That's right. It's fascinating to see how this focus on emotional intelligence is extending beyond the workplace and into the education system.
Yeah.
One of the articles you shared, I believe it's from The Atlantic, discussed how these programs are not only improving academic performance, but also reducing behavioral problems and creating a more positive and supportive school environment.
So they're not just teaching kids about math and science, teaching them how to manage their emotions, build healthy relationships, and make responsible decisions.
Exactly. They're equipping them with the essential life skills they need to thrive in all areas of their lives, not just in the classroom.
That's so encouraging. It seems like we're finally recognizing the importance of emotional intelligence as a fundamental building block for a successful and fulfilling life,
Yeah,
starting from a young age.
it does feel like a turning point, doesn't it? I mean, we're starting to shift our priorities and recognize that success isn't just about IQ or academic achievements.
Right?
It's about developing the whole person,
Yeah.
nurturing their emotional intelligence alongside their intellectual capabilities.
This is all so inspiring. Feels like we're on the cusp of a more emotionally intelligent world, which frankly we could all use right now. But it's not enough to just talk about it, right? We need to actually put these principles into practice.
You're absolutely right, and that's the exciting part. Cultivating emotional intelligence isn't some mystical or unattainable pursuit.
Okay.
It's about making conscious choices, practicing specific skills, and integrating these principles into our daily lives.
Okay. So let's get practical. What are some tangible steps people can take to start developing their emotional intelligence starting today? There are so many great articles that you send over about this. And one thing that really stuck with me was how practical some of the advice was.
Mhm.
It's not just about reading a bunch of theory.
Right?
You can actually start implementing these EI techniques right away.
It's true. And it doesn't require some massive life overhaul or anything like that. It can be as simple as like incorporating a few mindfulness exercises into your day.
Oh, you mean like taking a few minutes each morning to just sit and breathe?
Exactly. Or even just like being more present during everyday activity. One of the articles mentioned the concept of mindful walking,
Yeah,
which is basically paying attention to the sensations of your feet on the ground, the movement of your body, and the sights and sounds around you.
I like that. The turning an ordinary commute or errand into a mini meditation.
Exactly.
What other, easy to implement techniques stood out to you from the articles?
There was one article, I think it's from Psychology Today, that emphasized the power of gratitude.
Okay.
And it suggested keeping a gratitude journal where you just write down like a few things you're thankful for each day.
You know, I've tried that before, and it's amazing how quickly it can shift your perspective. It's like you start noticing all the good things in your life that you might have been taking for granted.
Precisely. And that shift in perspective can have a ripple effect on your emotions and your interactions with others. You're less likely to get bogged down by negativity when you're consciously focusing on the positive.
Right. It's like you're training your brain to see the glass half full.
Exactly.
What about for those of us who are maybe a little more introverted? Are there ways to develop social skills without having to become the life of the party?
Absolutely. Social skills aren't just about being like extroverted or charismatic. They're about connecting with others in a meaningful way.
Right.
And one of the articles had a great tip. Focus on becoming a really good listener.
Oh, I love that. It's so simple, yet so often overlooked.
That's right.
We're all so quick to jump in with our own thoughts and opinions that we forget to truly listen to what the other person is saying.
Exactly. And active listening isn't just about hearing the words. It's about paying attention to the nonverbal cues, asking clarifying questions, and really trying to understand the other person's perspective.
It's like you're creating a safe space for them to share their thoughts and feelings, which in turn builds trust and rapport.
Exactly.
What other advice Good Bee articles offer for building those social skills?
One that resonated with me was seeking out opportunities to interact with people from diverse backgrounds.
Okay.
It could be as simple as like striking up a conversation with someone new at work, or joining a club or group that interests you.
It's a great idea. It's easy to get stuck in our own little bubbles. But when we step outside of our comfort zones and connect with people who are different from us, we expand our perspectives and learn so much about ourselves in the process.
And that's what emotional intelligence is all about.
Yeah.
Being open to new experiences, new perspectives, and new ways of connecting with the world around us.
I know we've talked a lot about the positive aspects of emotional intelligence, but is there a flip side to this? Can emotional intelligence ever be a bad thing?
That's an interesting question, and one of your articles actually touched on this.
Oh, really?
It cautioned against the potential for emotional manipulation. Someone with high EI might be able to use their understanding of emotions to influence others in unethical ways. It underscores the importance of developing not only emotional intelligence, but also a strong ethical compass.
That makes sense. It's not enough to just understand emotions. We also need to use that understanding responsibly and with integrity.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the idea that emotional intelligence, it's about continuous growth and development, always striving to become the best versions of ourselves, both intellectually and emotionally.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface, but we've uncovered some really valuable insights from the articles you sent.
We have.
So as we wrap up here, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listener walks away with?
I hope they realize that emotional intelligence is a really powerful force for good, both in the workplace and in life in general.
Yeah.
And the best part is it's a skill that can be cultivated and nurtured through conscious effort and practice.
Beautifully said. So, dear listener, as you go about your day today, consider how you can bring a little more emotional intelligence to your interactions. But it's practicing active listening, expressing gratitude, or simply taking a moment to pause and check in with your own emotions.
Every small step you take towards developing your emotional intelligence is a step towards a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
And who knows, maybe those small steps will lead to big changes not only in your own life, but in the world around you.
Here's to a more emotionally intelligent future.
Cheers to that.